Hello everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com with another video on learning how to use Vue. So what we're going to do in this one is we're going to basically create a new component from scratch so that way you can kind of see even better the construction of a Vue component. So right now, if we go back to our, well not there, back to our app component, so back in our folder, so let me just collapse all that. Vue. Okay, so again in your project folder, you'll go to source. And in there, you see the app component. And right now, all we have in the app component is showing hello world. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our own hello world. Okay, so right now I'm going to delete this hello world. Save. So our app component is just going to show a blank screen. So when this updates, the template root requires exactly one element. Okay, so it's complaining. So we need to go make that one element. So let's do that. So I'm going to go in the components folder, and I'm going to create a new file. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to delete everything in this hello world component. Okay. And we're just going to start from scratch and build up this component so you can see the whole process. So essentially we start with a template tag. This represents the template or the HTML for your component. So in this case, we're just going to have an h1 that says hello world. Cool. So that's the first part. Then we're going to have a script tag. The script tag is where we're going to put our JavaScript. And basically what we have to do is we have to export this object. So we can do other JavaScript in there, but we need to at least do export default. Because basically what happens is that when it imports the component into another file, what it's looking for is this object that kind of tells it all the configurations and data for your Vue component. So basically export default, we create an object, and there's going to be all these properties that we can add to this object. The main thing we need to add is the name of our component, okay, which will be, let me just take a look at the convention we have over here, app, we'll just kind of stick to that. We'll just say hello world. Okay. And let's see what this is there. Okay. So with that, we should just be about good to go to actually have the component working. I'm just going to add a style tag for any kind of styling. So we can put any CSS properties in here within these style tags. And I'm just going to say h1. We're going to make it color green. And font size 100 pixels, just to be obnoxious. Save. Cool. So technically that's it. We've created a component at the most basic level. Now to bring that in, we're going to go back to our app.vue and we're going to import it. So we're going to import, just going to go here, import, I think we just put in the name of the component, hello world, from, and we put the name of the file, which should just be /components/ hello world.vue. Okay. I'm not 100% sure that's the exact right syntax, but we'll give it a shot. Then we just put the tag here. Hello world. Okay, and let's see if this all worked out well so far. Hello world is defined but never used. Let's take a look there. Oh, that's right. I gotta add it to here to components. Hello world. Because basically, again, there's that object, that JavaScript object that we export for every component. So this component was named app, and then another property is basically another object listing all the components that are available to that inside that component to be used. So there's hello world. I added it in there. Let's see if it worked now. Failed to compile. Let's find out what module not found. Error can't resolve. Dot component /hello world. Let's see here. Let's take a look. So app is over here. So that components is in the same folder. Slash hello world.view. Let's see if you maybe you don't need the extension. Okay. Okay, so I did some refactoring. Turns out the issue was I had an extra W in hello world, so that's what was kind of causing a problem. But I decided to use kind of more strict conventions, which is basically a kebab cased name for your component. So it's kebab case when you're naming your component here. But then when you import it, it's going to be Pascal case, which just means uppercase to the top of each word, no spaces. So that means it's going to be the same thing here, and then the same thing there. But with that, it works. Hello world. Nice. Now, here's the thing. One of the biggest things about all these, whether it's Vue, React, Angular, is being able to have data that you can play with that's reactive. And that data needs to be defined in that object, okay? So essentially what's going to happen is that we'll create another property. So go back here. So to add like a data thing like state, what you're going to do is you're going to run this data function. So really what you're doing is you're defining the function called data, which returns an object with all that component's data. So there's going to be this data function, and this data function basically returns anything you want. So you can literally put anything you want in here. So I'm going to put, let's say, cheese, and then that'll be a string called Gouda. And now I have a string called Gouda that I can use within my object, and I can create an array. So we'll just say my R equals 1, 2, 3, and then these things are now available to me to use over here in my template. So save that. Let's make sure all compiles fine. Yep, it's complaining. Let's see what it says. Syntax error, Vue unexpected token. That's US to Y. There's the object, key, property. Oh, I see why. It's because this curly bracket represents the function. I'm defining the function. I mean, this curly bracket here is I'm defining the function called data. Okay. What I need to do is within that, I need to return another object. So return, and then I need to put another object around there. So really, I'm returning this object that has cheese and my R inside of it, that this function data returns. So essentially what happens is that Vue runs this function data, which then returns this object with all your data. So let's run that again. Let's see if it compiles this time. And that looks good. Good. So now if I want to use this data, what I'm going to do, so let's replace the word world. We just kind of like Angular, you can just use double curly brackets. And I'll just say cheese. Save. So let's go over here. Hello, Gouda. So it works. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Okay, as far as how you can use the data. Now, if you want props, so let's say you wanted to have data that's passed in, that's, well, another object. Okay, so we'd be done with the data property, comma, and then we're going to have another object called props. Okay, and it's going to pretty much work the same way. Your props is just going to basically be an object that defines the properties that will be passed in. So in this object, so we'll just do that. We're going to say that we're going to have a prop that's called more cheese, and it's going to be a string. Okay, so you have to kind of define if it's going to be an array, is it a string, is it a number? You can do all that there. So you can say, hey, we have a prop called more cheese that is a string. So we'll save that. Let's see if it complains. Nope, no complaints. Yay. Okay, so now we're going to go back to app where we called hello world, and we'll pass in that prop. And if you're not familiar with props, because you've never done like React or anything like that before, a prop is just basically data that can be passed in as kind of like an HTML property. So I could pass in now more cheese, and I can say cheddar. Okay, and now I'm passing in this string as a piece of data called more cheese, which I can then use back down here in the hello world component. Okay, so let's go use it. So I'm going to go back up here and then put a comma and then put more cheese. So now when I save it, it should say Gouda cheddar. Gouda cheddar, yes. Okay, so it works. So basically Gouda we put in right in the component as data. Cheddar was passed to the to Hello World from the app component as a prop. Okay, so the difference is one piece of data, the Gouda, was internal. It was built into the component. The cheddar got passed through. So now anyone could use this Hello World component. Like let's say I did this. So I'm here. Let's go to the app component where I used Hello World, and let's copy and paste that. Let's use it twice. But the second time, instead of cheddar, we're going to have pepper jack. Save. And now, whoa, what happened there? Pepper jack, Hello World, module error. The template root requires exactly one element. Where did I not do that? So let's see. Hello World, more cheese equals. Yeah, I mean, there's one element. I'm going to assume that these need to be wrapped up in a div. So let's do that. That is my assumption. But there needs to be one parent element. So let's give that a shot. Let's see here. And I think that was a problem. There you go. Hello. So it's like React, where you need to have at least only one parent element. So you can just wrap it in a div. But you see, I'm using the same component twice, but with different props, it looks different. So it's going to say Gouda either way, because Gouda is built in. That's data. But the props can change, depending on what you pass in every time you use the component. So that's what's important, important distinction. Cool, I'll show you some more tricks in the next video.